Hello everyone. My name's Glenn Wilkinson. This channel is called Glenn Art Stuffs. And recently, if you've been watching this channel, you'll know that I've been working on like a big 2 meter canvas roll. Abstract-ish kind of oil painting, but with elements of surrealism in there as well. That's nearly finished, really. I mean, I'm kind of on the last sort of 40 centimeters of it now. But that's not what I was wanting to talk about today. Recently, I've found out about this thing called urban sketching. I don't know if you guys have heard of that before. And basically, urban sketching is like people going out with their sketchbooks and, you know, maybe a few pens and some watercolors and stuff, and doing like doing pictures on location in like urban environments. So it's very different to the kind of on plein air kind of landscapey kind of painting on location. This is like, you know, people sitting somewhere public and like painting people who are moving around all over the place and all that kind of thing, you know. And I've found out about a artist called Felix Scheinberger, I think is the name. Yeah, and like Felix Scheinberger, I don't know, I saw his artwork, these kind of like very loose pictures that were done with like you know, pen and watercolor, and they're just so like expressive and loose and I don't know. I got a little bit obsessed with those types of pictures and anyway, the thing about me is before I kind of started sort of I don't know how to explain it, but like before I started like really taking art seriously and like drawing all the time and stuff like that, which is only fairly recently, just over a year ago really, that I've been really seriously focusing on art. But before that, you know, I used to always be doing like, not always, but like I used to quite often do like little sketches of friends and things, and just kind of loose sketches with pen and things like that. But I kind of sort of stopped doing that over the past year and started more focusing on kind of tight sort of pictures that were kind of drawn from imagination. And I think really, I don't know why really, I think I kind of just sort of stopped doing those pictures because I kind of almost like wasn't taking them that seriously. Like I wasn't kind of thinking of, I don't know, I wasn't thinking that they were like serious art or whatever, but I don't know, just seeing these pictures by Felix Scheinberger has just really kind of, I don't know, it's got me into the idea of just doing loose, quick sketches and stuff, and I've decided to kind of like lean into that a little bit and sort of do, you know, try to get back into kind of some of those loose sketches that I used to always be doing, and kind of, you know, maybe just do a lot more of them than I used to do, obviously. But just keep it fun and keep them very fast and very quick, and sort of see if I can kind of develop that side of my personality, that kind of loose, sketchy side of my personality, and see if I can kind of develop that type of art a little bit more, and kind of just do it a lot and see where it goes, sort of thing. So it doesn't mean that I'm not going to be doing other types of art. You know, I'm still going to be doing other types of art, but I'm also on the side of that, I'm going to be doing more of these kind of loose, sketchy types of art, and sort of seeing where that goes. So today, what I was wanting to do is just kind of, I'm gonna show you some pictures in this sketchbook, and I'm just going to show you all of them. So I've been kind of, in this sketchbook here, I've been messing around with doing more kind of loose, frantic, sketchy artwork, that's done very fast and very quick. And I'm just going to show you all of the pictures in it. So the ones that I like and the ones that I don't like and things like that. And yeah, see what you think. Right, so here it is. This is the sketchbook. The first page has got like something else that I was working on like way before I kind of got onto this sort of thing that I'm doing in this sketchbook, so it doesn't really matter about that thing. Then there's a blank page. There's a bit of oil pastel mess here because I've done oil pastel pictures in this pad and then cut them out. But here's where it starts. So yeah, as you can see, I've been kind of messing around with a much looser style. The whole idea of the pictures in this sketchbook is that I'm not penciling them out first, obviously, and I'm just doing them fast, not fussing over details, just kind of getting things down quickly and just seeing what I can come up with, sort of thing. So with this particular picture, I mean, I've probably spent about 10, maybe 20 minutes on this. Not a lot of time. Just did it really fast. And with this one, I started out with the watercolor first, and I just kind of put in basic shapes, really quickly, this. Then I went over with the fineliner pen and put some, lines around it and stuff. And then I, did some extra watercolor again, bits of shadow and things like that. But the whole point was to just do it really, really fast. I didn't want to kind of spend a lot of time on it. And this is the doll's house in the corner of it's my mum's doll's house. It's in the corner of my living room. Yeah, I live with my parents, I know. Yeah. Judge me for that if you want. Yeah. The next one I'm going to show you is one that I don't really like very much. But I'm going to show you it anyway. So, when I was painting this doll's house, sketching this doll's house, my mum also did the same thing, but my mum sort of did more of a, I think she was intending on doing a quick sketchy thing like me, but she didn't manage to commit herself to that and sort of, spent like quite a long time doing like more of a serious picture. So because she was taking a long time, I decided to draw her, but I don't like this picture, and actually my mum doesn't like it either because it really doesn't flatter her. Like, she doesn't look very good in this picture. This one was done in the same way. I kind of started out with the watercolor first, and then I did the pens on and stuff. The thing that I really don't like about this picture isn't the fact that it looks childlike, because with what I'm trying to do in this sketchbook, like, something looking childlike isn't necessarily a bad thing, but I think I wanted to do pictures that kind of almost looked, childlike, but still with some sort of drawing ability behind that, you know what I mean? Whereas this one just looks straight childlike, and it just doesn't look like it's got any kind of drawing ability to it whatsoever. So I wasn't really that happy with that one. So I kind of turned over and just did another one as well. Also very fast. 10 minutes. The difference between this one was that I started out with the pen first and then kind of put the watercolor on afterwards. It's a little bit better, this one, but still I'm not that happy with it. Right, this one This one is crazy. And what this one was basically I just went out on a walk. I wanted to do some more sketching out and about, but obviously we're in lockdown here in the UK, so I couldn't go very far. I couldn't really go into any urban centres or anything. So this is in Newburn, which is within walking distance from where I live. Please don't try and track me down. And with this one as well, I put the watercolor in first. I was sitting on a grassy hill looking down on Newburn. It was quite a nice view. You can see the River Tyne in the background there, some pylons, I put the watercolor down first and then went over it with some fineliner. Then did a little bit more watercolor, and then kind of packed up and went home. And when I was walking home, I was really kind of dissatisfied with the picture that I'd done when I was out there. I just really wasn't happy with it. I opened it up, had another look at it when I got home, and I decided to kind of just do a little few touches to it when I got home, just to kind of see if I could do anything to it to make me like it more. And did a few little extra finishing touches to it. I put the white gouache around the windows to kind of bring out those windows a bit more. I did some of these lines, these little quick lines across. You see there's little watercolor lines that give the wall a bit more texture and things. And kind of coloured in the windows a little bit, to kind of coloured them in black to kind of give them a better shape, and kind of drew attention to these little sheltery bits over the doors with some white gouache. On here I also obviously went over the windows with the gouache. The little dots that I've done to represent the brickwork were already there when I was out and about, but I've done some kind of yellow ochre. These lines were sort of, these bricks along here were like a kind of a more of a sandstony colour, as opposed to the rest of it, which was just like standard red brickwork. So I put some more little kind of sandstony lines on it and stuff, and went around to do these kind of ornamental window frames and things. Coloured in the windows black, obviously. Put some more colour onto this kind of little bit sticking out the top here. And that was about it really. So this one was done on location, but I did sort of add to it a little bit when I got back. I really wasn't fond of it when I was actually doing it on location, but when I got back and sort of added to it a little bit more, I started liking it a bit more. I mean, it's obviously it's very naive, it's very childlike, but that's kind of the thing that I'm sort of exploring in this book. There's some happy accidents in this that I quite like. Like for example, the fact that the roof goes down on one side, the fact that that's uneven. Obviously the real building isn't like that, but and that was a mistake originally. I just put the watercolor on kind of really rough, and then when I was drawing it I realized that it was conky, but I went with it because I thought it looked kind of cool, and that's something that I actually really like about this picture. I really like the sort of unevenness of this roof and stuff, and I quite like how, I don't know, childlike and sort of colourful this building is and stuff. And I like these houses here. Obviously this is like a back street. You can see the backyards outside these terrace houses. Things I don't like about this picture, I'm not really fond of the composition. I feel like everything's happening at the bottom, and the background is maybe a bit more simplistic than I'd like. But obviously the whole point in this sketchbook is messing around with fast drawing. So I think it's a success overall. And with that, my battery's going low, so I'm gonna have to change it. Okay, hello everyone. Sorry about that. The battery just died. So you've seen this picture. I've talked about that picture. This picture was this is a picture of the inside of my mom's doll's house. And with this picture, but I put everything in with pen first, and then I put the watercolor in afterwards. Yeah, I was trying to keep everything very quick. Yeah, I'm quite fond of this picture. I think this is kind of what I'm sort of trying to develop a bit more in this sketchbook. This kind of really loose, very quick kind of sort of expressive style, certain naivety. You know, you've got these dolls here. These are all dolls inside the doll's house. There's a old lady there. There's an old man sitting over there. But the thing about this old man doll is the doll has a very innocent face. He's got grey hair, but he has a very innocent face. So I've just done a face with a few lines here, but I think I've managed to capture the look of that doll. You know, the kind of innocent face with grey hair. This doll here, sitting on a chair. I think I've managed to capture the kind of basic way that doll was sort of strung on the chair, sort of thing. It looks very loose and floppy, and obviously, dolls, their clothes hang much differently to the way that like real people's clothes obviously have more weight to them because they're bigger, so they kind of hang down more, whereas dollhouse clothes kind of like dollhouse dolls' clothes just sort of sit there, you know, without much weight hanging them down. So that means that they kind of sit in this weird kind of way, and I think I've managed to capture that as well. There was a little what do you call that stuff again? Resin. Yeah, there's a little resin dog there on the floor, a rug. I'm fond of this fireplace. I think I did a canny job on that fireplace, just doing a quick sketch of that. Mirror, you know, the detailing on the wallpaper and the background, the little lights that are designed to look like candles. We've got a glass china cabinet here with some tiny little, you know, like Scotch bottle with, or is this Scotch bottle or brandy or something? I don't know what it is, but a little bottle of spirit there with two little glasses. You know, yeah, I'm quite happy with this picture. And this is my mum. She's doing a watercolor painting here. So I just sat on the other side of the table. This is her at the kitchen table doing a watercolor painting. I just sat at the other side of the table, and I just decided to do a little drawing of her. This was pen first, and then I just got some watercolor and just went in. I did a very basic background there because I thought I didn't want to do the whole room behind it, because I was thinking it's quite nice just as a little portrait subject. You know, I don't need to put the whole room in there. Yeah, I think I'm pretty happy with this picture. It's come out fairly good. I'm not fond of the hand, obviously, this hand here, because obviously that's one of the worst bits. But you know, you always, when you do pictures this quick and loose, you're always gonna have bits and pieces like that. So I think overall I quite like this picture. Okay, now this is in my kitchen. I'm sitting in the seat that my mum was sitting in here, and I'm looking at my sister on the other side of the kitchen. My sister gets these like Gusto like meals in a box type thing delivered, and she kind of, about twice a fortnight she'll make these like fancy meals that are delivered in a box, like from Gusto, and she'll make these for the whole family kind of thing. But what we tend to do, my sister is a very hectic person, she's very hectic, and she gets very hectic, should we say. I don't know how else to say it, but she gets very hectic when she's in the kitchen cooking these meals. So what we do tend to do is we tend to keep out of her way and just leave her to it, because we don't want to be in the firing line if she's stressed about the food or whatever. But I decided that this would be quite an interesting sketch, you know, and it would be good practice for. I'm kind of trying to practice for when things open up again after lockdown. I'm thinking I'm gonna go into some, you know, kind of urban environments, some environments with normal people, and try and draw them in those environments, sort of thing. So I'm trying to practice drawing very fast, and I thought maybe going in the kitchen when my sister's kind of cooking and when she's all hectic and stuff might be a good practice for kind of drawing in a high pressure environment. So yeah, so I went in there and I did a quick sketch. She was only reading those instructions for a few minutes, so I had to use my my memory a lot drawing this picture, because you know she looked at. But when I came in, she kind of picked up these instructions that were in the box and kind of held them up over her face, and she was poking out from behind it. So I kind of drew that and drew the kitchen and stuff. Once again, I think I haven't really caught her likeness in this picture of her face very much, and I think I've accidentally made it look like she's got a mustache by adding too much detail on at the bottom of her cheek. My sister doesn't have a mustache, and she's got long hair that's kind of tightly tied back. Another thing about this picture is I experimented with after I'd done the initial picture. You know, I this picture was done by, I put the pen lines in first. I drew it all with pen first. Then I put the watercolor on, and this was all while I was sitting in the kitchen watching my sister. My sister was moving about all over the place, you know, while I was drawing it, you know. But what I did as well is when I went back into the living room, and I had a bit more time, I kind of experimented with maybe like changing the picture a little bit when I got back in. And what I decided to do was add some like hatching, so you can see there's kind of hatching around the kettle and around this extractor fan and under the cabinets and things like that, and under her arm and on the kind of onions on the table and on the vegetables and stuff, and around the bottom of this little island thing, around the bananas and stuff, and on the bottom of these drawer handles and things like that. Yeah, so I kind of experimented with adding a little bit extra hatching in this one, just to kind of try and, I don't know, give it a bit more contrast and stuff. But I'm not sure whether the hatching was a good idea. I think some of it was a bit messy. I'm not, to be honest, hatching isn't something I've done a great deal of, so I'm a bit of a newbie when it comes to that type of drawing. This hatching under this cupboard here isn't really sure what it wants to be, is it? And same with this along here, you know, it's very messy around here and stuff. Yeah, I'm being very honest with you here. I'm pointing out the flaws in my own picture, which maybe I shouldn't do. But you know, this is all about learning and seeing how I can develop this kind of fast, loose style. So, you know, it's okay for me to talk about it a little bit. Also, the arms here. Now, people who are like experts in hatching, like what's he called again? Alfonso Dunn, is he called? The hell's he called again? That guy. Well, anyway, I've got a book called Pen and Ink Drawing by this guy called Alfonso something. And he's got a YouTube channel as well. And the thing that he always stresses when he talks about hatching is like that when you're hatching, you're doing a lot of different things at the same time. Like you are creating kind of light and value, but you're also creating texture. So you've got to kind of, you know, take that seriously and remember that. And what I've kind of accidentally done here with the arms is I was kind of concentrating more on adding the light and the value, but I've also kind of accidentally added texture, so it makes it look as if she's got really hairy arms, which my sister doesn't have really hairy arms. But I've kind of accidentally given her hairy arms by, you know, adding too much furious kind of hatching along the bottom. But I mean, I like this picture overall. I think it's a pretty, you know, it's got a lot of character to it. I showed this picture to my mum immediately after I'd drawn it, while the watercolor was still drying. And then I did the hatching, and then I showed the picture again after I'd done the hatching. And my mum said that she actually preferred it before I put the extra hatching on. She preferred the initial bush, quick, loose picture before I put the extra hatching in. So that made me think maybe I shouldn't do this kind of hatching and, you know, other ones. So anyway, this one's another one. Same day. I think it was immediately after I'd drawn the other one, actually, because my sister was still cooking. And with this picture, once again, I've just put all the pen lines in first with a fineliner, just furious quick sketching with the fineliner, and then I've put watercolor on after. And I think I'm really fond of this picture, actually. I like this kind of color on the top of my dad's jumper there. I like that, and I like, you know, I don't think my dad likes this because I don't really flatter him very much, but I like the way I've drawn his face and that there. And I mean, my mum's face is a lot more kind of simple in this one, but she's got a blanket over her there, and there's like a stuffed Dumbo in the middle there. And one thing that I really like about this picture actually is the way that I drew the curtains. I think I managed to develop a very simplistic sort of way of drawing curtains here, of just doing the little, you know, stick for the curtain reel, and then doing the circle, and then drawing that just basic line along there. So as you can see, because I've done this trick for the curtains, I've managed to do much, you know, more like unbroken lines down here to represent the curtains, because I kind of, you know, I did that once and then I was like, oh, that works, so I just, you know, repeated it, and it makes some pretty good curtains. And I've kind of, you know, this picture, it puts you in the environment of the room at the time when I drew it. So yeah, I think this was a pretty successful picture. This is kind of this sort of style that I'd like to develop more in this kind of loose, quick sketchbook. Very very fast again. Like 10 minutes. Felt like 10 minutes. You know, I'm obviously not timing myself on these things. Right, this one I don't think is quite as successful. This is. So my sister had finished cooking at this time, and we'd all eaten the nice tea that she'd made with, and she sat here for a few minutes, and I say a few minutes, it was probably even less than that. She sat here for a bit and was kind of chatting to us. I was sitting further up on the sofa, and she was chatting and just having a little drink, and you know, she did kind of like quite a nice smile, so I decided to draw that, but obviously she didn't have her face in that position for very long. By the time I'd picked up my pens, you know, she'd already moved her head and was, you know, facing a different way and stuff. And then, you know, I started drawing, and then as I was drawing, she got up and went somewhere else, you know, which is fine. I don't, you know, the whole point in this thing is just getting used to drawing people on the fly, so I don't, you know, I wouldn't want people to stop still for us to draw them, because then that would be more like a conventional drawing session, and that's not really what this is about, you know. So yeah, I just kind of tried to remember what she looked like, and just draw it really quick, like do, you know. Pen first again, obviously, and then put in the watercolor. But yeah, I think this one was probably less successful, but it's, you know, it's all right still. Okay, now, those of you who are easily disgusted might be shocked to learn that I drew this sketch while I was having a poo. Which, okay, look, you can judge me if you want, but you know, obviously I hadn't wiped yet, so you know my hands were still clean. You know, because I hadn't kind of, you know, touched my ass or anything. At this stage, you know that's what you do after you're finished. You know, so yeah, I you know, took my fine liners and my sketchbook and my watercolors into the bathroom with us, and I just you know, did a quick sketch of myself in the bathroom mirror. This is me. My hair's getting quite bushy right now, and you know, I've been growing my beard during lockdown, just you know, just for the sake of it. You know, when else are you gonna grow a beard? You know, and then I've done the windowsill around it and stuff, and the blinds in the background and things. And this is like a little wash basin, but it's well, you see, my bathroom is kind of split in two, so there's kind of like a small sort of cubicle sized room with a toilet in, and then there's another room with a bath and a sink in, and we also have a little wash basin in the little toilet room, but at the moment it's leaking, so we've got like a towel over it to kind of, you know, remind people not to use it, and then we just wash our hands in the you know, in the main bathroom where the bigger sink is. So that's what you can see here, is the towel just kind of draped over the top of the tap that's kind of over the top of this little wash basin. Toilet, very top of the toilet roll holder here, and that's the toilet paper. Yeah, and that's me in the mirror. Next we've got this one, and this is just my dad sitting in the living room. We're kind of opposite on the other side from the sofa. Got telly in the background. My dad's proud of that telly. And armchair on a spinny thing. There's a blanket behind. Shelving unit. Yeah, I'm pretty fond of this. This picture. I think this is once again, yeah, this is the type of picture that I want to kind of develop more in this style. I did this very fast, you know, and yeah, I think I've managed to capture it pretty well. I like this shelving unit here. I like the way I've drawn that. Obviously I'm not using perspective here with these pictures because, you know, perspective would take too long, and the whole point is to just get it down really fast. Started with the line work obviously before the watercolor with this one, as I have on most of them, and yeah, just drew this really quick, and you know, it's come out. I quite like the way that looks, and yeah, the only part that's went, you know, really badly is this arm here, because he kept on moving it around, you know, so I had to kind of, you know, use my memory a lot with that, and yeah, it didn't really go well, but you know, whatever. It's a small part of it, and I think overall the atmosphere of this picture is exactly the same kind of atmosphere as it was when, you know, if you were sitting in the room with us when I drew it. So you know, I think it's quite successful in that respect. We were about to go out when I drew this. This was just a few minutes just sitting around before we went out. But then after that, we all went out on a collective walk and down to the River Tyne, and I sat on the side of the River Tyne and tried to draw the river. But it was raining. It wasn't absolutely bucketing it down, but it was spitting quite badly. So there was lots of little speckled drops all landing on the paper, and I was kind of furiously trying to draw. I tried to draw with the pen first. I tried to draw with the fineliner first, but it was really not working very well because of all the water that was dropping on the paper from the rain. I drew this guy in the canoe really fast because he was, canoeing past quite quickly. So I was like, when I saw him, I was like, oh, quick, get him down. Drew him way too big. It makes the river look much, much smaller than it actually is. Like, this is a very, very, very wide river. So, if this was properly in perspective, this guy would be like much, much, much smaller. But as I was painting this, I really hated it. I was really hating everything that I was doing. And like, I couldn't wait for it to dry, so I had to just close it when it was still wet. Because it wouldn't have dried because it was, it was raining. So obviously there was rain landing on it all the time. All of the watercolor was just really watery. It was just landing in pools the second I was putting it on. There was no way of like stopping it from just being a big pool of watercolor wherever I put my brush. I hated it when I was doing it. I hated it for a little bit after I got home, but now that I've looked at it a bit more, I actually quite like it. I actually think, if you look at it from the perspective of like just pretending that I didn't draw it, and just pretending that if it was done by someone else and I looked at it, I'd probably think it was pretty cool, because I think, some of the texture of this watercolor with, where the raindrops have been landing on it and stuff, and then I've kind of closed the sketchbook when it's still wet, so it's got the kind of, that sort of thing happening with, where it's kind of unstuck some of the paint on the other side and things, and it's, I don't know, I just think from an abstract point of view, there's a lot of kind of really interesting stuff happening here. So I've actually grown to like it a little bit, even though it's like, I just didn't have any control over it whatsoever. I didn't know what the hell was happening when I was doing it. I quite like this fence along here with these little people walking under the bridge. Let's see. This one was done in the same place. I was on the same bench that I was on when I was drawing this. Got sick of this picture. Turned it over, started drawing another picture. I tried to do this just in, straight up watercolor, because my pen wasn't working on the wet page. Yeah, but once again I had the same problem where, like, I was trying to just do these people, just quick watercolor sketches. There was two young boys and a mother there. These were actually better when I first put the colour down, but because it was raining, they were just, it was just making like pools of, like I said, pools of watercolour, so it was just running. I couldn't really control where it was running to, but and then I tried to do like a building in the back. This is the river here, with the other side and the sky, and then behind there was like a road that went up, and then it went past like a rowing club headquarters building here, and there was a lamppost which has kind of washed out, and the tree, yeah, I hated this picture when I was drawing it, and I hated it when I got back home, but once again, yeah, I've grown to like it a little bit since then. It's not the type of drawing, in the same way, same as this one, it's not the type of sketching that I'd like to be doing. But from a kind of abstract point of view, the textures are kind of interesting. So it's not terrible, but it's not the kind of thing I would like to be doing. And last but not least, this is a picture of my dad, and basically, like, I've been, doing a lot of watercolor sketches recently when I've been sitting around the house, which has inspired my mum to do more watercolor pictures, and then seeing both of us do lots of watercolor pictures, finally inspired my dad to pick up a pad and some watercolor stuff and, have a go at himself. And this is like just a quick sketch of my dad doing some watercolor pictures. Once again, I'm just going in straight in with the fineliner, doing a quick sketch with the fineliner, and then putting in the watercolor afterwards. That's the view outside of my window. And yeah, I'm quite happy with this picture as well. So I think and that's what I've got so far. I've been doing this for a few days, so it's not nowhere near full up the sketchbook. But yeah, I think there's some failures and there's some good things in here as well. Obviously I can't really do urban sketching because I've not, it's locked down at the minute, but I'm trying to sort of recreate that in my home environment. Just trying to sketch my family just as they're sitting around and trying to keep it very quick, not telling my family to stay still when they're, when I'm drawing them or anything like that, just doing them quick and coping with the fact that they'll move away when I'm drawing them, or they'll be moving around, and just kind of just go with it, go with the flow. And yeah, I'm just gonna see how this particular type of drawing, this kind of fast sketchy style of drawing, I'm gonna try and do this, basically just do it a lot and then see how it develops over time. I'm not as good as Felix Scheinberger at the minute. I mean, I don't want to just imitate his style, obviously. I want to have my own style. But my work is very far from being on that level at the moment. But hopefully over time I could kind of develop this sort of loose, sketchy kind of style and get better. Yeah, hopefully there'll be. I'm just trying to flip to my favorite one. Yeah, I think this is my favorite one overall. I think, yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna try and develop this style. See where it goes to. Eczema rash on my forehead that I'm trying to cover up. Yeah, we'll see how it goes. And thanks for watching. Like and subscribe, all of that kind of stuff. And thank you very much for watching. And I'll catch you around. Peace out, man.